Could this actually happen? A confrontation between a U.S. carrier and Iranian missiles.
There is a question that has haunted military planners for 2 decades. A question whispered in classified briefings, simulated in war games, and debated in the darkest corners of the Pentagon and the Kiryat in Tel Aviv. Could the most heavily defended airspace in the Middle East actually be penetrated? Could Iran's military machine be crippled in a single night? Tonight, we take you inside a hypothetical scenario, a simulation, a warning. What military insiders have codenamed Operation Epic Fury. To understand how such an operation could unfold, you must first understand what Iran has built. 30 years of investment. Russian technology. Chinese jammers. Indigenous systems. An integrated air defense network so layered, so redundant, that military analysts called it the shield. But every shield has a crack. Every network has a spine. And on February 28, 2026, in this hypothetical timeline, that spine was targeted for destruction very soon. The distance from Israel to Iran is approximately 1,000 miles, across hostile airspace, through Jordan, over Iraq, past radar stations that never sleep. Tehran itself is protected by 3 concentric rings of air defense, Russian S-300 systems, indigenous Bavar 373 batteries, thousands of radar installations networked into a single integrated command. The conventional wisdom for years was, you cannot do it cleanly. You can degrade them, you can set them back, but you cannot systematically collapse their capability in a single operation without paying a catastrophic price. That calculus changed when 3 variables aligned. A new electronic warfare doctrine, a classified synchronization tactic, and a decision made at the highest levels. The countdown began at 23:47 Zulu time. 4 hours to impact. 4 hours to the most complex strike in modern military history. In the Arabian Sea, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group turned into the wind. In the eastern Mediterranean, the USS Gerald R. Ford prepared its air wing. And in secret locations across the region, submarines waited beneath the waves. Tomahawk cruise missiles launched first, hundreds of them, flying what military planners call nap of the earth, so low they stay below the radar horizon. Behind them, F-35s sliced through the stratosphere at Mach 1.6. Stealth, invisible, unstoppable. And behind them, B-2 Spirit bombers, already airborne for hours, descended toward their targets. This is the heart of the operation. Military planners call it time on target. Everything launches at different times, from different locations, traveling at different speeds, but every weapon impacts at the exact same second. Before any radar operator can transmit a warning, before any command center can issue an order, before any defense system can react. Not a sequence of strikes, a single, simultaneous detonation across 600 miles of Iranian territory. The mathematics must be flawless, because the entire doctrine depends on one thing: absolute, perfect, terrifying synchronization. But there is a fundamental problem. Iran's radar network would detect incoming aircraft long before they reached their targets. Minutes of warning would be enough to scramble interceptors. The solution is not to evade the radar. It is to destroy the radar operator's ability to trust what he is seeing. Modern electronic warfare doesn't just jam signals. It injects false data directly into enemy systems. You're not blinding them, you're lying to them. Their screens show 100 incoming fighters where there are none. Their systems report missile launches that don't exist. By the time a real threat arrives, They've already exhausted their response protocols chasing ghosts. Miniature air-launched decoys flood Iranian airspace. Each one looks like an F-15. Each one demands a response. And while the defense network is pointed the wrong direction, the real weapons are already inside. Wave 1. Suppression. Tomahawk cruise missiles target radar installations, command nodes, the nervous system of Iran's integrated air defense. Wave 2. Penetration. B-2 Spirit bombers descend through the gaps. Each carries bunker-buster munitions capable of penetrating reinforced underground facilities. The nuclear program. The ballistic missile storage sites. Targets buried 60 meters underground, designed to survive a nuclear blast. Wave 3. Destruction. F-15E Strike Eagles, F-35s, Israeli Air Force, striking surface infrastructure, manufacturing facilities, launch conflict. It is the beginning of a war no one has fully modeled. In this scenario, Iran's retaliation is immediate and multi-front. Ballistic missiles arc toward U.S. bases in the Gulf. Drone swarms overwhelm point defense systems through sheer volume. Allied air bases in the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain are targeted. Israel's own territory faces the largest barrage since the country's founding. No missile defense system is perfect. The mathematics of saturation attacks are brutally simple. If you launch enough, some get through. Military historians will tell you that every major conflict of the modern era was preceded by leaders who believed it would be short, decisive, controlled. The First World War was supposed to be over by Christmas. Iraq was supposed to last weeks. Afghanistan was supposed to be a swift victory. The honest answer, the answer you will not hear from anyone with stars on their shoulders in a press conference, is that nobody knows. Systems. Mobile assets that survived the first two waves. You can model the first 72 hours with extraordinary precision. What happens on day 4, day 10, day 30? That is where the models disagree. That is where history has always surprised us. That is where the best-laid plans of generals and presidents dissolve into chaos. Capability is not the same as consequence. And in the Middle East, a region where every action reverberates across borders, across generations, across the fault lines of religion and history, consequence is the only variable that ultimately matters. Operation Epic Fury, as a hypothetical construct, illustrates something important. Not about what any government intends to do, but about the terrifying sophistication of modern warfare. The most dangerous moment in any conflict is not the first strike. It is the second. It is the retaliation, the escalation, the spiral that no one can control. This is the question that keeps military planners awake at night. Not, can we do it? We know we can. The question is, what comes after? And in that question lies the terrible truth about modern warfare. The weapons are precise. The intelligence is extraordinary. The technology is breathtaking. But war is not a simulation. War is not a video game. War is the moment when the mathematical certainty of the planning phase meets the chaotic, bloody, human reality of the execution phase. So, we return to the question we asked at the beginning. Could this really happen? The capability exists. The technology is real. The plans have been drawn, revised, and simulated thousands of times. The only thing standing between peace and Operation Epic Fury is a decision. A single decision, made by human hands, in a quiet room, somewhere in the world. Tonight, tomorrow, or perhaps never. The future is not written until we write it.